More about how the Brexit could impact world trade. Eric Schiffer joining me now. He is the CEO of Patriarch Equity. Thanks for your time.
Good to be here with you.
You say that the financial implications of this Brexit will hit the shores of America like an Atlantic tidal wave. You say this is the biggest financial mistake in the history of world trade. You are obviously the polar opposite when it comes to perspective from what Ben Stein, the economist, was saying. He was saying, look, investors are blowing this way out of proportion. There's no reason to panic. If anything, the worst case scenario, there would be higher tariffs. That's it.
Right.
Your response.
Look, I like Ben Stein. I think he's a very funny guy. But I think he's clueless with respect to what's happening, with all due respect to him. I think that right now, we've got huge volatility ahead. This will be like being on a race boat at 60 miles an hour knots with a lot of waves. So I think you're going to see a tremendous amount of volatility. At some point, it's going to slow down. There's no question, and it will. But short term, hold on, it's going to be really rough.
When it comes to trade, I mean, how do you think this is going to pan out, at least for Britain, when it comes to negotiating some kind of trade deal with the EU?
I think they're going to have their challenges. Look, this will be delayed for a while. You hear people are now regretting that they actually voted for this, and that's a big issue. What's fascinating to me is this parallels so much Donald Trump in the United States. At the same time, people have been saying this is going to help Donald Trump. I don't think that's the case. I think that what is happening is people are now getting what I would call buyer's remorse. And I think you're going to see that happen here, that maybe the establishment isn't so bad when you actually get these things passed, that maybe they can't do the things that they say they're going to do. So I think it's going to be a wake-up call. I don't think it will hurt the Hillary Clinton.
But when you call this the biggest financial mistake in the history of world trade, I mean, what do you mean by that, and what tangible things do you see the implications that will hit the world as a result of the Brexit?
Well, I think when you take a country that is as big as England and you basically take this gigantic shotgun and you shoot the engine of trade for them, which essentially is what is happening, you cannot do that and not expect strange effects and major crazy effects to occur. And I think some of those effects we're beginning to see in the market. Certainly it's going to affect banks, et cetera. It can be fixed, so we can get policymakers to step up. The problem is the central banks are really weak right now. They've shot a lot of their weaponry, so they're not necessarily the answers. It's really going to come down to policy. And I think if the policymakers can step up, there's a lot that can be done that can stimulate things that could really help England and certainly other countries in the EU.
You know, Ben Stein earlier, he was on another CNN program, and he was talking about the U.S. and how, you know, there will be, this will just be a blip on the radar in the United States. And he mentioned U.S. exports, about $55 billion worth of, goods and services to the U.K. So let's say, if we export $10 billion less, he said, that won't even register on the GDP. We won't even notice it.
Okay, well, Ben Stein is forgetting the fact that people have emotions, okay? And so if you slow down trade, you're going to slow down consumers in general because people are not going to buy as much. You certainly are not going to have CEOs investing. And when that occurs, and people watch TV, I mean, they're watching what goes on around the world. This is a global village today with CNN and others. So forget about it. This will impact unless they get a handle on it. To saying that it can't impact the United States is foolish.
A lot of it's also driven by emotions, though, as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Eric Schiffer, CEO of Patriarch Equity. Thanks for your perspective.
My pleasure.
Thanks for coming in.